Hi, for this video I'm going to take on the voice acting duties myself. The last two videos killed me mentally. I know that I announced the deployment video last time, but I just don't feel like doing that. In my channel I want to show you guys the right path towards functional web development. But I finally realized something that should have been obvious. Fable, and I'm guessing other functional languages, are not serious competitors to TypeScript. I don't mean to say that they are bad languages in isolation. They do have good libraries. And TypeScript has many disadvantages that Fable doesn't have, like its syntax and the lack of global type inference and pattern matching. But just what happened the last time? Fable could be the best language in the world for all we care, but what good does that give us when it doesn't have a queue in its standard library? If we were programming in TypeScript, it would have been absolutely trivial to get it from somewhere. In Fable, we'd have to create bindings for it. Instead of implementing a mailbox on my own, I wanted to do the smart thing of importing some channel library. And I did try that at first. This is one of the libraries that I wanted to import. If you look, you'll see type-level literals, type-level conditionals, and all kinds of complexity that cannot possibly be transcribed to F# type system. This actually isn't the most complex example of type-level magic that I've seen. And if you look at the bindings for Signal R that we did ourselves, they are like 1,000 lines long. Is all of this necessary? I don't think it is. If you look at the hub that we did, we use only a few select methods there. Methods like hub start, hub stop, hub send, hub invoke like here, and we don't use much beyond that. So if we were doing the bindings ourselves by hand, we'd only need a few dozen lines of code. But it's difficult to know that when you are doing things for the first time. When you are encountering a library for the first time, you need to play with it a little. You need to explore what it is capable of, and only after that you'll know what is necessary and what isn't. But with the TS2 Fable, it challenges you with all that complexity up front. When you generate the bindings for the first time, you are faced with dozens of type errors, and you need to take care of all those type errors before you can use the bindings. This is very difficult. At a certain point, you need to ask yourself what is important. If you have to keep stopping to do the bindings every 5 minutes, it absolutely will kill your programming flow. For any serious programming work, you will need to use external libraries. There is no way around that. They are more important than the language itself. To me, the most important thing that Fable offers me is the ability to share types between the frontend and the backend. Libraries like Fable Remoting and .json, which allow me to serialize messages back and forth without worrying about the types on one side going out of sync, this is incredibly valuable to me. It allows me to move quickly. Even though we haven't really taken advantage of that in our previous project. Doing your own messaging protocol is simply low class, and any smart programmer would seek ways to abstract that away. I personally love functional programming, and I've even gone as far to make sacrifices to use functional programming in my day-to-day life. But if we are doing web development, we won't be able to avoid having to interact with the JavaScript ecosystem directly. And TypeScript, for all its faults, has the most advanced JavaScript interop features of all languages in existence. JS interop is its killer feature, and Fable's it isn't. I used to think that, or rather, those were my feelings. I thought that we absolutely needed to use the same language between the frontend and the backend in order to achieve type synchronicity. But if we think about it more deeply, even though it won't be as good, there are all sorts of ways to achieve that doesn't involve having to use the same language. For example, we can have an F# type, and we can have a program that transcribes that type to a TypeScript one. And in fact, this would be more powerful, since we don't have to use the same type on both the frontend and the backend. They could be similar, but not exactly the same. To me, this is a whole new approach to working. Starting out with generating types for TypeScript and going with a code generation approach would open the door to doing our own super efficient serializers. We'll be using the inbuilt ones for the time being, but being able to generate them at compile time would open the door to doing them optimally, and doing something optimally is achieving mastery. If we just wanted to get something done, then why would we even bother with functional programming? Just use TypeScript, just use C#, just use Java or whatever. We are into functional programming because we want to be the best we can be. The path of functional programming is the only path that can get us there. In the future videos, I will find a true way to use other languages with F# and show it to you.